So whenever you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes. And you want to be in a comfortable position. So it's as if we're parking our car with kindness. And then we have the opportunity to attend to the space of the mind, this inner space. And you notice when you close your eyes, your mind has that capacity to be aware of sights, sounds, smells. The inner space, because it's not busy processing sights, sounds, smells, etc. Let's just take a few moments to allow the mind to settle and to become more aware of our mind, like reading a friend. Similarly, when you go into a dark room, at first you can't see the shapes and what's in a dark room, but then you get accustomed to it. So that's similarly to how it happens when you close your eyes. And I suggest we practice to develop this attitude of kindness, like reading an old friend, like this kindness towards our mind, welcoming whatever comes into our mind with kindness, acceptance, and non-judging it. You may also be aware of the sounds that you may have not noticed when you first came. So before, there was a dog, and I think this is the first time in 2 years that I noticed that there was a dog. Maybe they got a new dog. But whatever sounds or memories or thoughts, the practice is not feeding them. So just accepting, being equanimous, but a kind, gentle, kind awareness of it that isn't interested to get rid of it and not interested to keep it going. So for instance, if you hear the sound of the dog, you can catch yourself if there's an inner commentary, like, oh no, there's a dog, or, this mind proliferating about the sound. So our job is to just in the sound, let there just be the sound. It's just sound. It's just, sound waves going into our eardrums. And that whole process of hearing involves little cilia in our, auditory, that ear. I forget all the terms for it. I learned it in school. And then there's some neurons firing, and then we have a sound. So just keep it as a sound without any commentary about it. And the same with any thoughts or memories or ideas that come up in the mind. Let it be just that. It's just a mental noise, We won't continue it. We won't perpetuate it. Because as soon as you want to get rid of it, you're actually zooming in on it and feeding it by not wanting. So that energy of not wanting a thought is actually creating the force for more thoughts to come. You can experiment this in your mind. And the causes for peace and inner silence is not feeding those thoughts with your not wanting or getting indulged in them. So we set up this gatekeeper, like a bouncer at our mindfulness. And our task is, at the moment, being present, present moment awareness and silence with this background of contentment. And it's a practice. It gets easier and easier the more we practice. So it's like a skill. When you learn how to play a musical instrument, let's say piano, or you don't read a book on theory of piano and then start playing a symphony. It's through practice, doing the scales, and then you can play beautiful pieces. So the mind can be developed and trained too towards inner wellness, peace, and contentment. And it's by stopping doing. And it's easier to put this attitude into practice if we're aware of something. And it's easy to be aware of sensations of the body. So usually we start with the body scan because it gives us something specific to be aware of that's happening now. And we can practice our attitude of kindness without getting involved, setting up that gatekeeper. So you can notice your sensations in the toes. For instance, the toes in contact with the socks. And this mental development happens when we maintain that knowing. So we're letting go of the activity of mind, but keeping that faculty of knowing, that awareness. So what are you aware of? So you're aware of the sensations in your toes. And whatever it is, we're allowing it to be, just knowing. And this starts the simplification of what we're aware of. Just by knowing, we're allowing our toes to relax. And being aware under the ball, no matter how your toes are, just have this soft, kind awareness to them. There's nothing you can do about them now. So we just accept them wholeheartedly. Toes, I accept you just the way you are. You're allowed to be. And being aware of the ball of the foot. And going under the arch. Can you feel any sensations under the arch? Maybe the heel as well. Your heel in contact with the socks or the pressure against your shoes. Notice silently the sensations, just listening with your body. Being aware of your ankles. This kind awareness allows your body to relax. And in that mindfulness, also in the background is aware slowly that it feels good to just stop. Stop what we're doing during the day. And to allow the mind and body to relax. There's this subtle delight, like a contentment. Letting go of a burden. If you've been carrying maybe suitcases, traveling, and then you put it down, there's a relief there. In the same way, there's a relief when we Stop having to do things, go places, think about things, figure things out. Oh, what a relief. This is a sense of contentment, this peace. And it's important to notice that quality of the mind. Because it's this quality of mind that keeps the mind present, that keeps it still, aware, and not moving around, not wanting to escape this moment. And can you believe the mind, the more we stay in stillness, the mind actually changes, but only each one of us can experience this for ourselves. So by scanning our attention, we're just allowing the mindfulness to develop in stillness, simplicity. So being aware of your knees. Notice the sensations in your knees. Giving kindness to the cough, that's okay. Chest, you can cough as much as you want. And that's totally good. If you need to, it's like the birds. Birds just sing. Sometimes the body coughs, sometimes the body aches. It's the nature of the body. So being aware of our knees. And allowing the knees to relax. And be aware, be a witness to this process of relaxation. Being aware of the thighs. I haven't looked into the research, but I heard a lot of anecdotal stories how a lot of healing happens by just being aware of the body and allowing, the energies to flow or the body to heal. There's a lot of healing that takes place. So you can try, give it a chance and see if that works for you too. And this process of the mind settling is like an art. It's not something to figure out. It's a feely path. So it's not like the will trying to stop the will. It's like giving up all will. But it took me a while because I was so identified with the faculty of reason and thinking. It's more of an art, like a practice. So being aware of your tummy. Maybe it's digesting food. Just allow it to relax. See, when you don't get involved, it relaxes by itself. Hopefully the mindfulness can also recognize that sense of a doer, that will, that craving, that commenting mind. And that's what interferes in this process of peace and stillness. Because it can't exist in this inner freedom. It's fired. And how does it get fired? We just see it for what it's worth. It's not valuable, this will, this judging, this figuring out. That's just the ego. It reinforces the sense of ego, of self. And whenever that's reinforced and active, we can never have this inner peace. We just give up. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. We just aware and allow the mind to settle all by itself. And you feel your way. You know you're going in the right direction because you feel this direction of more peace and well-being in your mind. So going up the spine, you can be aware of your chest. Notice if there's any sensations. How does your chest feel, all those organs, compared to, let's say, the feet? Maybe your shoulders. If you have any shoulder pain, the door of my heart is open to you. Like really, if you can be this way for the rest of my life, and I totally accept. It's this giving up, surrendering. Being aware of your arms, your elbows. Going through the wrists. Going through each finger, just being aware and allowing it to relax. The thumb, the second finger, the third, fourth, fifth. We're deciding and choosing to enjoy the mind releasing interest in the world for this time and just being. When you decide that for this period of sitting, you don't care about the past and the future. You're prioritizing inner stillness and pace. And the mind notices and hangs out. And when you notice and hang out in that stillness, that inner silence, the mind recognizes this leads to this inner freedom, this well-being. And allow yourself to value, to recognize the value, and just to be silent in the mind, the light in it. And the silence grows, the inner silence. And you have an inner refuge. I heard someone talking about the process of death, and I haven't checked this because I didn't know I was going to mention it, but it's worthwhile mentioning because it helps the mind be more present. The last 10 years of our life, many, many people just spend immobile. So here we have this inner refuge when our faculties become more dull. We can't do the things that we used to. And that's normal, but the ego doesn't want to think that way. It just picks up when we were 25 or 30. But that's not the truth of it. The truth of it is the body ages and grows old. So developing the mind allows us to have this inner refuge where we can sit and be with our own mind and be content and happy, going into this inner space. And there's a lot of depth to be discovered, like people go into the mountains or on a retreat and dwell there with nothing but perfectly happy. When they do some studies on long-term meditators, there's some research, and their happiness is so much more. Let's say, I can go into the research. This is vague. I looked into this many, many years ago. So how is that? The mind changes all by itself through this cultivation and this development. And it's a worthwhile practice. And if we're tired and we fall asleep, that's okay. Maybe we're sleep deprived or whatever, busy week. At least you're allowing the mind to be. But through this process, this practice, it's very worthwhile. So as we're aware, we were aware of our fingers, we go being aware of your neck. Noticing the sensations in your neck, and just allow your neck to relax, release. And your jaw. Can you feel sensations in your face, around the eyes? Notice. It's very different to the rest of your body. Maybe in the forehead as well. There's often frowning, so we can relax our forehead and notice how it affects your mind. And with that same attitude, we relax our brain, allow all the activity, but keeping to subside, but keeping the knowing, because we'll need that to allow the mind to be more still. You may be aware of the breathing. Maybe you notice your body breathing. And is there a knowing whether it's breathing in and you know it's breathing out? Maybe stay with that knowing you're breathing in, knowing you're breathing out. And don't worry about how you know, figuring it all out. There are many, many methods about mindfulness of breathing, but I suggest just notice what feels, what leads, that litmus test inside, that scent of freedom, what allows you more peace, because in the end it doesn't really matter where you know, as long as you're knowing you're breathing in, knowing you're breathing out. Making sure your face is relaxed and released. So you're not strangling the breathing, you're just hanging out, like by the beach and the waves, and you're hanging out, mindful along with the breathing. So it's like you're holding hands with the breathing, allowing the breathing to relax you, like the waves of the ocean. And you're just aware. And it only becomes uncomfortable if we try to control it. But like we can't control the waves, they're part of nature. We don't control the breathing. The body knows how to breathe. We're just aware of it. So if the mind wanders, you may benefit from perhaps saying a word along with the breathing, just as an anchor. You can give it a try. For instance, you can breathe in peace, breathe out relax. Breathing in peace, breathing out relax. And I want to give you hope that maybe it's easy or maybe it's perhaps not so. I don't know how it's like for you, but it does get really pleasant and delightful, and it's just through practice. So I started meditating 19 years ago. When I first started, my mind was all over the place. You just keep at it, and like now, it's difficult to let's say, add something because the mind leaps and enjoys this process of breathing, and it's so delightful and allows the mind to be still and clear, and it's very, very enjoyable process. And it's not me, it's just the way the mind is. It's like that for everyone. Now, there's lots and lots of psychology research on meditation. People practice, and then it becomes easy and enjoyable. They get health benefits, benefits in their mental well-being. So it's not personal, it's just what happens when we have a human mind. A little bit of encouragement, and it's not through figuring it out, it's just through practicing. That's it. This isn't impossible for anyone. Actually, the Buddha did mention that there are a few people who can't get enlightened, and it's only that if someone kills their mother or father, or kills the kills the Buddha, or kills somebody, does something really horrible. But I'm sure none of us here have done that. So we can allow our mind to be totally still and liberated and free. And it's possible because we're human and we have a human mind. And all it is practice and this encouragement to keep on going. And the mind will continue practicing if the mindfulness notices the value. So make sure that you allow the mindfulness to enjoy this process, to taste the value in this mental inner silence and peace, this delight of the mind just being with one thing, like awareness of breathing, not through force. It's never through force. It's losing interest in everything else. Losing interest to control your thoughts. They're not your thoughts. They're conditioned. We identify with them, and that's what gives us a hard time. If we think they're my thoughts and I have to do something about them, I have to meditate. There's no me that has to meditate. We give up, not identify with anything in our mind. Allow the process to relax. And that's what we call meditation, this process of stillness. And then the clear seeing into the nature of reality. If you hear these terms like insight meditation, it's just clear seeing happens as a result from the mind being clear. So we allow the mind to be still. So you can use this method of mindfulness of breathing as a vehicle, like as a tool. So being aware, you can breathe in, pace, and breathe out, relax. Or you can count to 10 and then back to 1, such as breathing in 1, breathing out 1, and then breathing in 2, out 2. At your natural, allow the breathing to be natural. And you're mindful along with the breathing. Having some confidence and inspiration that this method will allow the mind to be healthier and well. I'm glad meditation is starting to it's been getting more popularity with all the benefits. And we can use that inspiration, motivation to keep the mindfulness up, to stay aware, and not allow the mind to keep thinking the way it always thinks, because now's the time to develop the mind. And then the mind goes into restlessness later on, but now is our time. So you can be aware of the breathing. Know the breathing. How does the mind know the breathing? You know you're breathing in, you know you're breathing out. Remember, relaxed and gentle, never through force. And notice that this becomes actually quite delightful, and it's content. Quite nice. So it's a gentle development of the mind, never fault finding or criticism. And if you notice any commentary, even like the mind moving, judging yourself or the practice or wanting peace, that's all activity of the mind. It's noise and it's causing unease. So, how would you feel like? How would the mind feel like? How would the body feel like if we give up that mental chatter? How would you feel if you didn't say those thoughts, didn't have those thoughts, that criticism, for instance, or commentary? This is good, this is bad, I want to be like this. We turn down the volume of that inner speech and notice the release. Like, I have 3 small kids, and sometimes when they quiet, ah, oh, what a relief. So it could be similarly to that activity in the mind, and it's any activity, even activity on the meditation process. So any wanting, any commentary, that too is disturbing the silence, the inner silence, the peace. So we don't identify with that as well. We see it for what it is. Like, I know you, thinking mind. And then the thinking mind vanishes, shrugs its shoulders, turns away. The meditator knows me, the meditator knows me. So we don't gag it with a sock and put a sock in its mouth and kick it out. We don't do that to the thoughts because that action, that negativity towards it itself is the cause of more negative thoughts. We don't delight in them because that's just creating more restlessness and more of the same. We recognize it as just thoughts, not ours to do anything about. And by not feeding them, they'll vanish all by themselves, like a fire. It's fueled by twigs. It has its fuel. But what happens to the fire when it's finished its fuel? It just vanishes. That's the same with any activity in the mind, any thoughts, emotions, memories, worries. It's fed. We don't feed it. That's all we do. We patiently wait. And then they vanish. We have more inner clarity and peace. And with patience, we're aware of this process. And awareness of the breathing is like the anchor so that you know you're present. And it becomes easier and more pleasant. Being aware of the breathing. How do you know you're breathing in? How do you know you're breathing out? And notice not only what you're watching, but how you're watching. So when we're spending time with our mind, we then become more aware of more subtle ways the mind could be still doing and getting involved, creating unnecessary suffering or discomfort for ourselves. And as soon as we recognize it, it vanishes. So notice, sometimes it's hard to notice perhaps our grumpiness or that judgment or fault finding. So it's useful to add right away this antidote as a prophylaxis, so to speak, of kindness. Because then whatever type of self-criticism or judgment will be soothed by this power of kindness. So it's like a kindfulness. So we soften our heart and open the door of our heart to this moment, to our mind, whether it's restless and all over the place. This unconditional love, mind, whatever way you are, whether you're sleepy, restless, however you are, I totally accept you. You can be this way for the rest of my life, and I accept you. I open the door of my heart to this moment, this mind, no matter how it is. Notice that unconditional kindness, acceptance to yourself, to this moment, has this sense of release, this giving up of burdens that we may not even have noticed we're carrying. But through kindness, we can notice some relief. And only then we realize we may have been holding on to some stuff. Now it feels freer. Kindness is a very powerful tool in this meditation. So when you're watching this moment and this mind, this process, you can do so with a softness of heart, a gentleness, giving up any criticism. Doesn't belong here. And with this, the mind opens up all by itself because we're not creating more world with our ego. We're allowing the mind to dissolve. Remember stillness and contentment. Mindfulness says no to activity, aware of the object. Mindfulness along with the breathing. And the breathing changes all by itself as well when you stay with that. So you allow it, however you're aware of the breathing. Later on it will just be breath, and then awareness of that will vanish too. But accept whatever way your knowing of the breath is. When it becomes very subtle and you don't even know whether you're breathing in or out, just stay with that. And mindfulness also is aware of the ease and contentment and the pace. You hang out in that. We're coming close to the end of this sit. Notice, check in. How is your mind now compared to when you first came? Kind of linger and appreciate how letting go of worries and concerns and giving that up, like letting go of heavy suitcase, how that feels in your mind. Because it's not the ego that lets go. It's the development and the mindfulness that recognizes the mind feels so much better when it's not holding on. That it's that mindfulness that lets go. It's instinct, like a meditation teacher once said. If you notice, this is a bit crude, so pardon, but it makes a point. If one notices that there's shit on the hands, one automatically wipes it. In the same way, the mind will automatically let go to this yak inner chatter, worries and stuff when it recognizes that it's shit. But the problem is we're so used to it. We value shit. We're like, value that the thinking will get us. It's wonderful to think when we need to think. But then it's more valuable to practice and allow the mind to let go of it when it doesn't need to. Like when we're on our deathbed, we don't have to worry about the stuff that most of the time we think about. Or if we're on holiday or developing our meditation, it's not the time. So developing that skill to think when you need to and to let go. And the point I'm trying to share is it's not the ego and the self that lets go. We don't let go through will. That's more doing. It's through this practice of the mind recognizing, like, this inner peace, silence. Then the mindfulness won't pick up the rubbish. And if it does, as soon as it recognizes it recognizes, well, there's thoughts, it'll let go by itself. We don't do the letting go. Letting go happens. And we just keep on practicing and enjoying, delighting in those moments of inner peace. And there's perhaps some times during the day, when we're at there's no stop signs here. There's red lights. We can just sit. So many people texting, I heard, while they're driving, and a friend of a friend got into an accident. Herself and her child, they died because they were texting while driving. And someone told me that it's quite common here. So why not, when we're driving, we drive? When we're at the red light, we can enjoy just being with our mind without needing to distract ourselves from ourselves. When we're waiting in line, we can be aware of standing and being content to be with ourselves, not wanting to escape. Lots of times also the escapism is through scrolling and junk food and stuff. So having this kindness, and maybe you can see where else. Also taking in the good, maybe noticing some good deeds that someone does and rejoicing in that. That's also nice opportunities. Like if someone's kind to someone, like I rejoiced a lot. And John mentioned he was helping others after the floods. That warmness of heart, that's like a gift he gave me because I was rejoicing along with others. And there's these free moments of this healthy gladness that doesn't depend on eating chocolate cake. It's this rejoicing in the good deeds of others. That's like a free gladness that nourishes the heart. And then it helps the meditation practice, because when we have this internal gladness of being good, being a good person, kind, and this gives this strength to the mind, this energy in the mind, and then the meditation becomes easier too. Whereas whenever you're ready, I hope you can open your eyes. I didn't realize it's 12:30. The time passed quickly.